Vitalika. Light the way.
You know, your blood is telling a detailed story about your health every single day. But how do you actually read it? Well, today, we're going to decode the most essential blood tests so you can understand exactly what your body is trying to tell you.
Have you ever gotten that report back from the doctor and you're staring at this wall of acronyms and numbers? It can feel totally overwhelming, right? If you've been there, trust me, you are not alone. But that's exactly what we're here to do. We are going to translate those key numbers and turn all that confusing data into a clear, easy-to-understand story about your personal health. So here's our game plan. We'll start with how your blood is flowing, your circulation. Then we'll get into the real truth about cholesterol. After that, we'll check in on your liver and then hunt for something called silent inflammation. We'll even see how a single protein can tell us a ton, and finally, we'll tie it all together with metabolic health. First up, let's decode your circulation. This is so fundamental. It's all about how your blood moves through your body and what the thickness of your blood can tell us about what's going on. And that brings us to this idea of blood viscosity. The easiest way to think about it, imagine the difference between water and, say, thick honey. The thicker and stickier your blood is, the harder your heart has to work, and that can raise the risk for really serious stuff like heart disease, strokes, and blood clots. So how do we get a read on this? We look at a few key clues. First, ferritin checks your iron stores, which you absolutely need to make red blood cells. Then, hemoglobin and hematocrit tell us how many of those oxygen-carrying cells you have. If you have too many, the blood can get thicker. And finally, something called RDW checks if your red blood cells are all different sizes, which can be a sign that something's not quite right. Now, the thickness of your blood is one thing, but what's actually floating in it is just as important. And that, of course, brings us to cholesterol. We've all heard about it, but we're going to go way beyond the basics to get a much clearer picture of your heart health. Really, it boils down to a pretty simple good guy versus bad guy story. Think of LDL as the lousy cholesterol. It's the stuff that builds up as plaque in your arteries. And then you've got HDL, the healthy cholesterol. It's like the cleanup crew, carrying that plaque away. It's this constant balancing act inside you. But a full lipid profile, that goes deeper. It measures triglycerides, which is another type of fat that can increase your risk, and this is a big one. It looks at the ApoB to ApoA1 ratio. Here's the deal. ApoB is like the delivery truck for the bad LDL cholesterol, while ApoA1 is the truck for the good HDL. Looking at the ratio of these two trucks gives us a way more precise picture of your risk than just looking at LDL by itself. And where does all this stuff get sorted out? Your liver. I mean, think of it as your body's master processing plant. It's in charge of detox, metabolism, you name it. Its health is just absolutely non-negotiable. So we've got these three key liver enzymes, ALT, AST, and GGT, that act like an early warning system. They're like smoke detectors for your liver. If these levels start to creep up, it's a sign that your liver might be under stress, and it gives you a chance to make changes before things get more serious. You know that inflammation in the liver we just talked about? Well, it's often part of a much bigger, much sneakier problem called silent chronic inflammation. This is about uncovering these hidden risks that can just smolder away for years and then cause major problems down the road. So what is it exactly? This isn't like when you sprain your ankle and it swells up. No, this is a persistent, low-level fire just burning inside your body. And over time, this smoldering fire can become a huge contributor to some of our biggest health issues, from heart disease to diabetes. So how in the world do you find a silent threat? Well, a really important marker is hsCRP. It's a fantastic indicator of inflammation throughout your whole system, and especially your cardiovascular risk. We also look at your white blood cell count, which can give us clues about how your immune system is responding to things.
Okay, so for our fifth section, we're going to zoom way in and focus on just one thing. It's pretty amazing how much we can learn from the story told by just a single protein.
And that protein is albumin. It's made by your liver, and it has two massive jobs. First, it keeps the right amount of fluid in your bloodstream, and second, it acts like a taxi service, shuttling hormones, vitamins, and other crucial stuff all over your body. This is exactly why it's such a powerful health marker. If your albumin levels are off, it doesn't just point to one thing. It could be a signal about the liver that makes it or the kidneys that might be leaking it. It can even point to poor nutrition or that chronic inflammation we just talked about. It's a fantastic indicator of your overall health. All right, our final piece of the puzzle is all about your metabolic health. This is where everything we've talked about, your liver, inflammation, all of it really comes together. We're looking at how your body processes energy, focusing on that relationship between blood sugar and insulin. This trio of tests is so powerful because it gives us the whole story. Your fasting glucose, that's a snapshot of your blood sugar right now. Hemoglobin A1C, on the other hand, is the long-term view. It's your average over the past 3 months. And then there's fasting insulin, which is the crucial early warning signal that helps us spot insulin resistance before it becomes a bigger problem.
And here's the most important part. These tests don't exist in a vacuum. They work together to give you this comprehensive view. Knowing this information early on gives you the power to make changes long before something like type 2 diabetes even has a chance to develop.
You know, as we wrap this up, it really all comes back to one simple truth. Your health is, without a doubt, your most valuable asset. And understanding what these numbers actually mean is the first, most important step you can take to protect it. So, seeing these numbers, it's not about being anxious or worried. It's the exact opposite. It's about empowerment. This knowledge is a powerful tool that lets you be proactive, take charge, and really become the driver of your own well-being. So I'll just leave you with this one thought. Through all these tests, your blood is constantly telling you its story. The only question is, are you ready to listen?